Yo, what is going on, everyone? We have finished Kamp Koral, Season 1, Season 2. If you haven't seen the reaction, the entire journey, go somewhere here, go in the playlist. It's somewhere out there, but we did experience that together. That is the prequel to SpongeBob, the new origin of it. And because we are probably one of the only people on Earth who have seen it all and not judging it harshly, we will make a tier list of every episode, a ranking if you will, just like we did with season 4, and potentially we're going to do that for every other season. So if you guys are excited for this, like it up, subscribe, do all those things. And also we have a lot of other videos coming out too with Kamp Koral, where we've done the reference video, we've done the retcons and recontextualizing, we've done this one, and we also are kind of doing a little analysis, a little breakdown, review, summary of Kamp Koral and what that actually was. So Kamp Koral season is here, even though it's not, point is, I think we should just get started with this tier list. So let us do that. So here we have the entire tier list. Before I edited all the tiers, so now we have S for 9 out of 10. It's gonna be interesting because Kamp Koral, they do have really good episodes, but I think we're just gonna jumble in 9 and 10s together just to get really the best of Kamp Koral that it has to offer. And then we kind of go down more. We have some 8s, which is A, 7, 6.5. We'll play around with it and see where this goes. So let's start this. The first episode is Jellyfish Kid, and it's right here. I'm gonna put this is a pretty good episode. This is a great opening. I think for now we'll put it in the B tier, because this episode, it's going to rub people off the wrong way, and especially too, the animation in the first kind of chunk of the season, it's not the greatest, but this one really sets up everything with SpongeBob and his dream of catching a jellyfish, where we know before, he is a aficionado at it. So the fact that his goal here is to do that is very different too from SpongeBob, because in that one, we don't really get SpongeBob where he actually has a goal he's pursuing. So it's kind of nice. There's this little narrative for him, this little story. And then we also just encounter all the other campers, retcon Sandy's relationship with SpongeBob. Patrick is there too. The counselors, background character, Mr. Krabs, Pearl. It's all there. So off-putting for a lot of people, but I think for what the series is doing with here's this camp, here is everyone, this is what they're doing, this is also how SpongeBob affects everyone and has his life out there, and I just really think that this episode is a great pilot one. Next we have Sugar Squeeze. This episode is the beginning and the introduction of Narlene and Nobby, and to be honest, this episode I thought was pretty solid. And I actually kind of liked Narlene in the beginning. I see always hate with her. And at first, in the introduction, and maybe a little bit after that, I didn't really get it. That's going to be some foreshadowing for later on. But I really like that she was kind of like this combination of like a lot of the characters. Like she has like the kind of like giddiness and silliness of like SpongeBob. She has like that greed side of her like Mr. Krabs, and then she's kind of like still pretty intelligent and smart just like Sandy. So I thought she was like a hybrid of everything. And this episode was nice too because Sugar Squeeze, the whole camp is on and Mr. Krabs is trying to stop it, and then she kind of like goes back at the very end and just basically sells the cure for money even though she created it. So I actually thought it was really witty how they went about that. But I'm going to put this as a C tier episode. It's a good one. Or maybe, wait a minute, maybe we're already having a change. Jellyfish Kid, let's put that up here. Probably like a good 8. And then Sugar Squeeze will be a 7. Baseline right there. I just think it was a great episode. And next we have Tag Your It. This is the one where it's raining, so they're just trapped inside playing tag, and Squidward's like, always checking in and they're always innocent. But then they get sent on to other cabins, and this is the first episode where we get a look at the interior of all the other camps and campers. So I thought it was pretty inclusive, nice introduction for all of them. And then they basically like annoy the heck out of every counselor and the camper. And then the end was pretty wholesome, because remember, here is when Squidward, he was like, oh, all I wanted to do was play, but like, it turns out like they didn't even ask him. So I actually really liked that. It was a little emotional beat right there. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. But yeah, like this was just a fine episode. Or is it along the same lines as Tag Your It might be, actually. It might be, because like I said, right now we're just getting into introductory things, exposition, just getting to know the cabin and the camp itself, the characters. So I really feel like the first 3 episodes actually did capture that very well. The next one is Quest for Tyre. And this was the first episode I didn't really like. It felt so random. Just like cars are beings or things in here. It just didn't really feel good. I think this was the one where they have like food, or they're looking for it because there's a shortage of it at the camp. But I guess I just didn't really align with like the whole car thing. It didn't really make sense to me, nor did it really like add to anything else that the world is doing. Nor do we even see like cars, anything later on really in the series. So it just felt like so out of nowhere. So I would probably put this at like a D tier. This is like the first episode which again, like considering we're already on a good start, but this was the first one where I just really didn't care for it. And to me, that's fine, because when we look at the next one, Cabin of Curiosities, this one involves the trawler cabin, the weirdo cabin, the creepy cabin. It's like a weird, in the beginning, it's like this hidden camp at dark, at nighttime, and then it kind of disappears in the morning, so people don't really know about it, or maybe it's not even a real camp or cabin in the beginning. But then we get new members. We get like Kid Ferratu, we get Preda, we get the slime one, we get I think Roxy and the other one too, like that anglerfish. Because this is the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick, they go all around the cabin for friendship badges. So we further getting more into the cabins, into the personalities, into the characters, but they're not all working out. So then they go elsewhere and they end up here. And it's such a weird but like endearing set of people. So I feel this episode tackles a lot of like, just like, here are new characters here, new personalities. Oh, at the same time, let's kind of get familiar with everyone, and maybe they're meshing well, they're not friends or something of the sort. And then there's also like this mystique around it as well. So I felt like it really does capture it. And the only thing that I kind of wanted them to do, I think, with this, not that it foreshadows it, but it would have been awesome if they kind of like maybe introduce them into the cabin, like, and people know them versus just kind of already being there. Or maybe they already did kind of belong there and just no one really said. But it seems like they kind of like let go of the whole sun aspect, and like it's a hidden cabin, because at the end of this episode people are like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, and then like the signatures are still there but they're not there. It's an interesting development. However, I still think this episode is much like Up Here. It is one, let's put that at the top of B tier. It is one that I think introduces new characters and just really is strong with that, and it's inclusive. You'll see that's probably going to be a theme here, is that the episodes that really can stand alone, the episodes that probably have a good amount of good, well-used nostalgia, and the episode with like just inclusive characters, more background characters, will probably be up there, because I think that's where the show really shines. Next we have In the Search of Camp Nudist. This one involves Narlene once again, and to be honest, we get a very similar degeneracy with the panty raid. We have something that equates to that, because she basically shows them this cabin, this area that is where the adults are at, and they put on the form of like them actually being fish, much like we see in Pressure and like Feral Friends and everything. And then the background B-plot thing is Squidward and Mr. Krabs kind of chasing them, but then we see Mr. Krabs naked. So this one was just okay. I think it's like definition of like interesting idea. They could have done a lot more with this, or they could have made it more shocking. Because if you're going to this extent already, like doing nakedness and nudity and new forms of people, you know, that would have been nice to do something bigger, better. But it's just an okay one, which is actually going to counter the next one. That is Kitchen Sponge. And there is a lot of recontextualizing with this episode. So in Kitchen Sponge, basically, they need to have new, cheap, affordable meals. When they do bougie and it's very good tasting, obviously that's going to take more money. Mr. Krabs very cheap. So then SpongeBob works with Plankton. So that's really cool that they're interacting with one another. Though it does kind of mess up their future said relationship. But it's awesome that he's in the kitchen cooking. He's doing his thing. And they kind of land on a patty, or he does. And then he feeds it to Mr. Krabs. He's like, oh my god, this is incredible. And then Plankton, this is where actually his origin of world domination of the patty of food comes from. So again, he recontextualizes this. And I still just really enjoy SpongeBob, just him being the original creator of it. Again, this goes and counters everything we kind of know. But if you're just looking at this is the origin of it, it's cool that they do that. And it's nice and self-contained. Up until we get to the final, basically like 5 minutes of this, because Sandy burns the recipe, the only recipe out there. And then SpongeBob is kind of like, oh well, that was fun while it lasted. And then, in another twist and turn, this is where everything kind of goes haywire, and I think your opinion on this episode will basically, it's just going to depend on how you view this. But now they involve sci-fi, they invite time travel, because there's the involvement of future Sandy, and this Sandy, and then sending her to Kamp Koral to stop Plankton from the formula. So technically, this formula that SpongeBob had and created at the camp was the Krabby Patty secret formula, but they had to intervene so they can have that patty recipe be discovered later on. Because you see now that is a lot of words and a lot of complications and plot holes and things. Because now, if that's the case, that's not really a recipe for the Krabs family that we've been kind of told, but it's also not friend or foe as well. So again, if you're looking at this as like the true beginning and origin of it, I actually think it's pretty great, but it's still very out there. It's like, what? Like, how are you gonna like throw this in here? So that is the problem with this episode, is that major retcon, major. But if you're looking at it, how self-contained it is with like SpongeBob and Plankton duo episode, new food at the camp, they have options and things, and then Sandy's involved, and then we have that kind of twist ending to how it connects to the mainline series, then, you know, it's actually pretty fantastic. So I'm going to put this at the top of A tier. Because, I'm just saying, if technically this isn't even the origin of the Krabby Patty, it's just the first time we kind of maybe are made aware of it. So now, because it's ever changing, they can just go anywhere and anywhere with it. But still, I think this is a great, great episode. But this next episode follows Kitchen Sponge, because now we are changing another thing, which is the relationship of Gary the Snail and SpongeBob, our favorite pet and owner duo. And it's said that they met at camp, not from the pound, not the things that we've been told, or just they're kind of chilling. They met at Kamp Koral, not even in here. Here they say that he met him last summer. And last summer was taking place in the Sponge on the Run movie, where we get the full background of everyone at Kamp Koral. So that's the thing here, is that it changes that, but it also starts the origin of them two together. But then the episode itself, if we're not just including the recontextualization and everything, but it is the beginning of them. But this episode is really fun because we get Mrs. Puff, and she's just like so sporadic, so this. And I actually really like that about Kamp Koral too, because with her, they just like they make her more paranoid than they even do in the original SpongeBob. So she actually stands out in this, not only this episode, but just the the entire series. But yeah, she's like, oh my god, where's the snail? Where's the snail? And then they have Gary in his like human form, so he blends in. I really like that. And then at the very end, basically she's like falling and gonna die, and then Gary saves her, and then that just makes everything all connected and great. And then he gets accepted here, and now it's all fun. So, for the beginning of Gary, I think it's an interesting direction to go into, but again, solidifies the movie and just Kamp Koral in general. But I also think Gary, is, like him like blending in with the camp, it's really cute. And also, there's the one thing where Patrick, he's not in the camp because he has no tie. But yeah, Camp for Gary, I think it's along the same lines of Kitchen Sponge. Like if we're looking at it from the perspective of like it's the origin of this, and it's kind of nice, and it reaffirms their other projects that they have going on. Maybe too high, maybe, but it's fine. Then following that, we have Midnight Snack Attack, and Patrick and SpongeBob, they get into beastly forms because of plankton. They kind of scare the camp away. They have kind of horrible, ugly designs. But I don't really remember this episode like standing out too much. Like I like the forms, and I like that there was like plankton also involved with it. Also Karen was like, hey, you want some? But besides that, I think it's like middle. So we're gonna probably put this at the C tier. Because I think In Search of Camp Nudist was still a really good episode. Just I felt like they could have done more for it already being really risque. And Midnight Snack Attack, I actually do like what they do with this later on. That's a spoiler, but yeah. The next one, Hot Pearl Potato. That one. Pearl is being babysat by SpongeBob and Patrick, and then I think they kind of hand her off into different places of the cabin. That's kind of what it is. I think it's following the same formula as we've seen with Cabin of Curiosities, of Tag You're It, where we're just kind of like passing them off to like different counselors, and even they have trouble with it. They try to blend it. It doesn't really work out. But that's kind of about it. So yeah, I'd probably put this bottom of C tier. Yeah. And then we might have the first episode that truly does belong in the S tier, and the one that I remember watching fondly. Again, go watch that, but I was fascinated with it. And that episode is What About Meep? This episode will definitely be the best one thus far that we have seen because of the actual territories it goes into. Maybe it's just for me, but I love when they kind of go into like abstract, psychedelic, philosophical sort of like concepts. And I think the writer of this one was Kaz. We see a lot of him in the Patrick Star Show, and he has a very like specific way of like writing episodes. So I could really feel like this was like all him, and it's just like a philosophical identity issue or journey with the anchovies, right? And like to use something like the anchovies to kind of have this really profound message about identity, about like finding yourself or wanting to be yourself, but also kind of being what's it called, like maybe insecure of how other people are like you too. Like there's such a weird, charming thing to it. And then even to some of like the animation and like they have the puppets, they have the song when he's like hopping on jellyfish. It's like so like Genesis. So I just think this episode just really tapped into everything that I like, and it just was so unexpected to see that here. So just from a creative standpoint, from an abstract standpoint, from a commentary on more of like the anchovies and their identity, and then also too like what I really enjoyed about it was when Patrick and SpongeBob, they're trying to kind of get him to assimilate to other people, get to know other campers and styles and things, and it doesn't work out. See, so it's just like this journey of self-discovery or trying things out, but they don't work out because what works out is when you are you. So just again, just everything about this episode, just incredibly stupendous. Next we have Hard Timeout. And from what I remember of this episode, this one was when SpongeBob gets in trouble and Patrick, but then SpongeBob kind of gets thrown under the bus. So now he's like locked in there, and then we kind of have him and see him in like this psychosis of like, you know, like he's in an insane asylum, basically what it is. And then the whole time Patrick's trying to like bail him out, but it doesn't work. And then in the end, it gets creepy in the end because there's like that one doll thing, or there's like a delusion. Also Patrick gets in there too. SpongeBob's all messed up. Just for the eeriness that this episode has, so we will put that bottom of B tier. Next we have Pat's a Little Sinker. This one, Patrick was learning to swim because he didn't get his swim badge. And it's just kind of trial and error. It's like, haha, I'm so incapable of swimming. And I just remember that towards the end, right, he like swims inside of Mrs. Puff. And there was just something really like disturbing about that. But I guess it's kind of like one of the few times we have Patrick and Mrs. Puff like kind of like involved together. Which I also really like when we get new character interactions, or we kind of just see that for the first time here, or it's like the humble beginnings of it. But you know, this one, it's not a bad episode, but at the same time, you know, I don't really think it's necessary. So I would probably just put it at the top of D tier. Like, this is like, I think the baseline for, you know, you could have this episode, but like, we don't really need it. It's not really that enjoyable. But it's not terrible. But also too, like, there are still some kind of weird body gags, you know, so I would put it at the top of D tier. And then we have Kamp SpongeBob. That episode is pretty good because we get acquainted with all the creatures and the wildlife. SpongeBob is by himself, which is funny because we see that he's by himself later on in the finale. Spoilers. With Patrick. But anyways, yeah, it's just really cool to you know, he's just enjoying himself and the critters and everything. I thought they could have gone a lot bigger and better with this one. Kind of like the same thing as in The Search of Camp Nudist. But it's cute. Nice creatures. We get new designs. So I'd probably put it... I think these two are like interchangeable. Kamp SpongeBob and In the Search of Camp Nudist. I think Kamp SpongeBob is more cozy, and it's just kind of fun to see him like have the camp to himself and just engaging with the animals, even if they can be kind of destructive or crazy, maybe sometimes even dangerous. The Narlene one I just think was like missed potential. So I think I'm fine with slotting this one in the C tier. All right, next we have Squissery. I think that's how you say it. This is Patrick and Squidward. We don't really get episodes with just those two characters. And this one was kind of weird because I felt, you know, we have their usual pairing of like, I'm annoyed with you, you're dumb. But it takes a kind of surprising angle when they kind of get more acquainted and they save each other and protect each other. And now they're just like dancing and having fun and actually getting along with one another. But then I think once Squidward kind of finds that out, like they're safe and like they can go back, it kind of like ruins that immersion and they're just like, you know, the wholesomeness that was there. But I think that wholesomeness also was a little bit weird and off-putting because they were like getting like very close. So a little bit, just it felt off to me. But then I think right at the end of this episode, right, they were still at the camp. So that was actually like a very good punchline. Like they were lost, but they were technically just there. It was just like all foggy and misty. But yeah, this one was actually like a pretty interesting one for their dynamic. Again, like we don't really get much of these, but I think this is how you do a duo episode of a character that we really I can't talk, that we really don't get so much of. So I'm gonna put Squissery at the top of C tier. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as Hard Time Out, just because that one is a little bit more expressive with its like animation, and it gets loopy, and there's like a lot of things going on with him being loony in there, and he's trying to get him out. But also too, yeah, I think just because sometimes there's some weirdness elements in here. No, okay, I'll put this at the bottom of B tier. I think that's okay, because I do think it's more of a 6.5. Yeah, that's okay for me. We might switch later on, but I'm okay with that. The next one we have is Game Night, and that is with all the adults: Plankton, Mrs. Puff, Mr. Krabs, and Pearl, who's sleeping. And it's fun to go inside their cabins, them just trying to have a wholesome game of wheels and escalators, not just of their of their game boards. But obviously they have their duties, so they have to go to and attend to everyone. And it gets annoying, but they have to relocate, and then they get paranoid as well. Are they here? Are they here? I don't know. Are they here? So that's kind of just like the whole episode. We kind of visit their places, and then in the end, they actually find a place, but it's very meta and actually homage, how do you say that word? To the Hooky, because they get trapped in the lobster trap, or the Krusty Krab type of thing, and then they lift off just like they did in Hooky, and they go to the surface, and then at the end of the episode they're actually playing the game. They're just in the tank. So I actually think it's a pretty good episode. So just for the funness of it, and that ending was fantastic, we will put this above Sugar Squeeze and put this in the B tier. My Fair Nobby is the next episode. Nobby becomes very eloquent and exquisite, and Narlene tries to break him out of it. And this is a cool one for Narlene, because we kind of see her being proper, trying to also like engage with Nobby, also like, SpongeBob Patrick like helping her. She's fancy, and that just deviates from what she is, like very rowdy, and I'm gonna be improper and everything. So like I said, I really do enjoy when characters are like in a different light, or they're just like the other side of their spectrum, or of their respective spectrum. So I actually really liked this one, and then in the end, it was a prank. It was like, like I want to see you like this. So Nobby was kind of not being he was being a prankster. So I would put this probably, do we do top of C tier or top? Yeah, I think we might have to rearrange the bottom of B tier in a little bit. Next we have Gimme a News Break, and this one is an episode on the background characters. We have one of Perch Perkins. Remember, he's the announcer here. And Harvey, he's just a camper here. The episode's basically just them two, and they try to find stuff about UFOs, crazy stuff, conspiracies, and then there's a whole like red herring here, because there's like Mrs. Puff is like taking out bodies and stuff, which actually goes into her character, so that's really fun. And basically now they kind of crack it, but then it just, it's Piñata Day at the camp. But then I think at the end there is something weird that happens where like I think the UFO or some creature that comes down or something. It was kind of like okay, sure. So while I do like that we get more of like background characters, not focused on like SpongeBob or anything, and it was like in the background like kind of seeing like a mystery unfold. It was just an okay episode. So I'd probably put it I would put it in C tier. Probably, yeah, right there's fine. Just above a hot Pearl Potato. And next we have Wisecrackin'. I think there's like a talent show going on, and they want to laugh, and everyone kind of does their routines. So I think that's pretty cool. and then we just kind of get introduced to the Wisecracken. He's I know he's some sort of a reference to like a comedian, and I actually really like his jokes actually. And I'm pretty sure he wins at the end, right? But yeah, it was just kind of like jokes. I think it's fun that you have the whole camp there. There's like they use like the theater, amphitheater thing there, so that's fine. But not the craziest episode. So this one I feel really kind of iffy about, or not iffy, like just kind of like, okay, it's fine. And next we have Squatch Swap. Is that what we call it? This episode is just a one where Patrick gets swapped with I think a Yeti or some type of mythical species over there. That's kind of all it was. I thought it was gonna be something more mysterious, something like grander. I think if you kind of like new characters or like those mythical aspects, because there's actually some of that here in Kamp Koral, which I actually really do like. But yeah, they didn't really go anywhere with this. It's just kind of like, oh, we're gonna swap places and kind of fish out of water, and then Patrick's gonna also recognize this, and it's kind of all it was. And so again, I like that we get more species and creatures. I thought it actually would have been cool if he maybe like was like a cast or became something like that, a camper. I don't know. But I'd probably put it like the bottom or the top of D tier. Don't mind it, but it was kind of boring. The next one, the horror. They changed Christmas and Santa, but let's kind of ignore that. Because this episode, I actually kind of was impressed by the animation. Like, just Santa looked so much more clear here. And this episode basically just has Santa visit Kamp Koral and is going to give them gifts. But no one knows about Santa, so they think he's a monster, as they should. And Sandy doesn't really tell them until later on, but they don't really care about that because Mrs. Puff again comes in clutch and like she fights Santa the whole time. And again, like Sandy's just trying to tell them, no, this is Santa, this is gifts, and this is Christmas. And eventually they understand and they come to an agreement. But I think if this is like a Christmas special, I don't know, it's not like the greatest one. It's kind of just like, okay, Mrs. Puff, Santa, they get acquainted, sure. And like I never want to really compare this to like mainline SpongeBob or even the Patrick Star Show. But yeah, it's kind of underwhelming and just really weird too. But I think it's kind of cool. There's like a human that goes into Bikini Bottom, so it's all right. But yeah, I would probably put this. Yeah, it's somewhere in the C tier. Yeah, I'd probably put it the very middle of C tier. I don't mind it. It is cool. More Mrs. Puff, Santa. People learn about Christmas. I just think it kind of like... it's just okay. Oh, whoops. I just realized. Whoops. My score was off. Okay, that's fixed. And following that, we have Outhouse Outrage. This episode had the outhouse blow up. And it's basically a trial that Mr. Krabs runs between SpongeBob, Squidward, and Patrick the whole time. So it's really fun that they all have their different stories. And we kind of go into like, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty. I think at first it seems predictable, like the format of it. But I actually really liked this more like judge sort of situation. And then the twist that it was actually Mr. Krabs who did it. But then the weird part comes in where it's like a ghost. And then the ghost recounts everything. That was a little bit weird, but I guess that's like the spirit of this, I guess. So I thought this episode was gonna be great, and then I'm saying like there was just something off about like, here's the ghost of the outhouse. But technically it did die when it got exploded, so I guess that would make sense. So this one I would say is probably in the same vein of In Search of Camp Nudist. Love a lot of things about it. Just something with the ending kind of like maybe didn't really hit there. But still some solid stuff. Now we are basically at the halfway point of the season, and we get into probably another S tier episode being Are You Afraid of the Dork? This episode is a special one, as in it was 20 minutes, not just like part A and then part B. And yeah, it's just a special on the Flying Dutchman. This was exactly what I wanted, more of the Flying Dutchman. Just evil and more of the roots, even if maybe it kind of changes his appearances in the mainline SpongeBob. But I love how they also incorporate things of Are You Afraid of the Dark? That TV show. It's like just a campfire. Everyone's there sharing their stories, and they're like trying to be scary, but it's not scary. So then he comes in there. He's like, "Hey, this is actually scary." And then we get that abstractness, that twistedness that he does, and he kind of like does it on every camper. Every camper has a story too. It was funny with Upturn. She was like, "Oh no, here, just pay. I'll pay you." It was funny too, because like I caught that out too. I was like, "Oh, there's no way like every camper doesn't have a story," and then it's like, "Yeah, like she just bought it out." So I thought that was hilarious. And then the crazy part comes in when it's Patrick and SpongeBob, and they kind of like, you know how they do. They somehow like change everything and like aren't affected by it. But then it's like this cool little like dreamscape portal thing. It was really awesome. And then somehow we actually get the fears of like the old Flying Dutchman, and then we get like a form of him when he was a camper there. So pretty insane stuff. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, just kind of like bat-ish. But so just from like the story, like the narrative, the longer thing, the inclusion of the Flying Dutchman, and really having like that menacing presence and the abstractness, twistedness, much like we saw like in Shanghai with the zipper and a lot of things like that. So I just thought this one really showcased him very well. And again, just kind of like having an ode to like the sitcom or like the show. So yeah, it just all blended pretty well together. And as well, I love the inclusivity, is that a word? With all the other campers. Oh yeah, and I really loved how they captured him in the patch. I wanted that to be like a plot line, something. I know, I'm getting too serious about it, but that's what I really wanted to see, because that would have been cool, because later on they just kind of like introduce him again and he's there. But that would have been cool if they maybe like released it, or they accidentally did something to it. Oh, he's back. Small thing, but I really did actually like that like he captured souls through the patches and stuff. So I thought like he was gonna also be like stuck in there forever, which is much like in his comic. Remember, he was the mannequin for eternity or something. So that would have been cool if they made that into like a little mini like plot line, but wishful thinking. So next we have Help Not Wanted. This is another, you would probably say, controversial episode because it involves Cecil Star. Who is Cecil Star? Oh yeah, that's Patrick's real dad. Not Herb, but Cecil Star. And the other campers, they acknowledge him that, yeah, you're Mr. Star. So, recontextualizing that we know Patrick's parents, they've always been here, they've always been Cecil, they've always been Bunny. But this episode's also really great as well, because we have Cecil there, and he basically takes the reins, and the campers love him, and that kind of gets Plankton, Mrs. Puff to like slack off and just chill, relax, and then Mr. Krabs like, what the heck, but then he also kind of gets into it. But then it gets to the point where they like him too much, so now it's like, hey, we want you to be the camp headmaster again, and they're like, no, we can't have this. But then in the end, oh yeah, they try to be teens, remember? They were like, this is cool. They were trying to be trendy and stuff, so fit in. So I thought that was hilarious. And then the end, he gets picked up by Bunny, by Grandpat. No Squidina, she wasn't there, because this is way before then. So I thought it was just a fantastic usage of him, and, you know, he used to go to Kamp Koral too, you know, so maybe there's more background on him and Bunny. So I thought, to be honest, this episode was pretty fantastic. Is it S tier? I don't know, but I think it's the top of A tier. I would probably put this at like an 8.5 most likely. Let me actually put a 0.5. Sorry if my scoring system is kind of weird, but it's just how it makes sense to me. Then we have Camp Spirit. And remember when I talked about the show kind of having some mythical elements? Well, this kind of came at a surprise because this involved Maisie. She's like the ghost of here. It's actually some folklore. It's like crazy stuff. She was like the one like camper here who died, or there was just something really, really spooky about her. But she's actually really fun and chill. So like just like a friendly ghost. And then the crazy thing too is Mrs. Puff has a past of like being a ghost hunter. So that was awesome. And then it was so epic with like the jar and everything. It would have been cool if they somehow connected this to like the Flying Dutchman, which we just saw recently. And man, yeah, I just really wanted that to be a little bit bigger or more of an inclusion. But I really messed with this episode. So this is going to be the top of B tier. Let's put this. Yeah, I think this will be over Camper Gary. But I think it was a pretty great episode. Underrated. Next we have Hill Fu. And Narlene teaches SpongeBob how to fight, do karate. Because Sandy and him are trying to get the karate badge, or maybe he's trying to get one. So it's kind of different because I think we've kind of known that SpongeBob and Sandy always like fight, like karate. So this one kind of like predates that because now Narlene was the one who showed him how to like do karate. Like they still bond over it. So the episode's basically just that, just a whole like training montage. He has like his like unique way of doing it. And SpongeBob and Sandy have a great battle. It's really entertaining, it's fun. They both get the badge, I believe. So that's kind of all this episode is, but I actually really liked just the whole like shonen-ness, the anime-ness of it. And just like the training arc, and you use Narlene not in a polarizing way. So we would put Hill Fu, yeah, probably like maybe in the middle of B tier, which is kind of funny actually, like if this and Sugar Squeeze are like around the same spot, because they both utilize Narlene, but just very differently. We have like our intro, I actually had really good impressions of it, and then Hill Fu just one, I think, where they use them perfectly to like not be so annoying, but like they actually like utilize like the feet stuff more, them fighting, and like there's just training and stuff, and they even have some good comic relief because like, oh yeah, will he win? No. So I think I'm okay with putting it there for now. Next we have Suns Out, Fun's Out. Yeah, this one, I think this is an underrated one if I remember correctly, because this is the one where it's so hot, the pools and like the lake is dried up and they just can't play. But Mr. Krabs has AC, so obviously like they go all in there, and it's one of the most wholesome things I think I've seen in the show. Just everyone bonding and like, having snowball fights and angels, and they're just doing that. But then obviously like word gets around, then everyone goes in there. So it gets blown up, it gets like disrupted. But just for like the fact that like they were like cold and staying inside, there's coziness there. There was just like a nice winter energy in there, and just the outside was like, everyone, I'm dying, and they all come in and like they basically just blow up the spot. But I actually thought it was a pretty underrated one. I'd probably put that at the top of B tier. Then we have First and Last Aid. This is where we get introduced to a new character, even though I do think she has made an appearance in SpongeBob before, but they used her now in this way in Kamp Koral. I think her name was Helga, the nurse. She's from Klopnodian, or from Klopnod, which is where Bunny is from. So it's cool that they included her here. And this episode was actually crazy because I remember SpongeBob, yeah, he was getting like mauled every time, but it was actually pretty graphic. Like he'd be bruised, he'd be bloody, he'd be like shredded. And then he just goes visits, and then she the whole time she's very, very paranoid about it. Like, how are you getting hurt so much? Why do you do this still? And then obviously the SpongeBob, like he doesn't really care. He's like strong, but at the same time he's a sponge, so like he's used to like this type of like beat downs and stuff. And then it's not until like we get to the very end where it's like a very beautiful special message actually. Like he is okay with this, with the fun, with the hurt, with the pain, and Helga's the one who's like very standoffish about it, but then once she bounces and has it, she's like, oh my god, this is great. So I really thought that was like a beautiful thing to like see. Just like not be afraid to have fun, not be afraid to get hurt. Which I think also kind of countered, also there was that carelessness of Mr. Krabs and like the whole thing, or like not caring for it and kind of like putting it aside, or it's a bother. So there was just a lot of elements here that were really good and personal. But I really just liked how it was like kind of like teaching someone to have fun, kind of teaching someone that like yeah, it's not, yeah, like we can get hurt, but that's kind of the fun of it too. don't take that literally, but just, for like what the show is doing for SpongeBob. And again, just SpongeBob showing the joy to other people. That's something I really do love about him. And I think this was a very, very good showcase of that. So because of that, I'm going to put this at the bottom of A tier. Night of the Living Stench is next. And this episode to me was just kind of gross. It's kind of gross, man. Or maybe it's really gross. I know it's the opposite of, hey, let's be a super clean freak, which we actually kind of do get that a little bit later on in season 2. Or no, at the end of season. I'm just saying stuff. But this episode, it's just really gross because, well, yeah, it's the opposite. Everyone's trying to be gross, trying to withhold their stink, their stench. So it's a lot of gross out humor, grossness, mud. I'm not a fan of it. Though it is fun to see Squidward. He is trying to be clean. He has like the whole like clean outing. What am I saying? Okay, hold on. Let's repeat that. Alright, next we have Night of the Living Stench. To be honest, I don't like this one at all. It's pretty gross, and I know it's playing on the duality or the flip, the inverse of, hey, we need to always be clean. Hey, let's be dirty now, because our stench, our mark, our territory. Again, I think this one just invites being gross and that type of humor. Not really my thing. And what is cool, though, like the redeeming aspect of it is that it's Squidward who's like, has his setup, his loadout of like, being like a Ghostbuster, like a cleaner. I actually did kind of like that aspect of it. That was fun. And then in the end, he actually absorbs everyone's dirtiness and he wins the thing and the camp is clean again. So that was nice, but I don't know. Yeah. I'm putting this somewhere in D tier. Like, yeah, maybe bottom of D tier. It's not a bad episode. Because like the plots they're hitting and everything, and I understand the premise of it. I just don't think it's one that I'm interested in. So I would probably put at D tier, not an F tier episode. I think F tier is like really like, special for like this episode should not exist at all. D is more like I don't really want this to be an episode to exist, but it's not the worst thing. Okay, these next 2 episodes are gonna be some of the best we have seen from Kamp Koral, not just the one of the parts, but both of them. So this whole episode. But this one is Kamp Crossbones. This is an S tier episode. This is the best episode up until this point of Kamp Koral because they really ingrain, engross, invest, whatever you want to say, in the aesthetic of pirates. How boundless they kind of go into it because they are playing pirates and they're like, oh man, it didn't work out, and rather than just like staying inside doing it or, like you can't play outside, they take matters into their own hands and they're like, nah, let's make this cabin a pirate ship. So yeah, we're not leaving the cabin actually. And then they go and jack other people's badges and then it creates a whole thing with the counselors. They also battle and see this too. And like they also have like the lingo down, the aesthetics. And this episode relies 000 on fan service, on references, on callbacks, which is the most important part of all of this. So maybe this one should be in its own class, but I'm saying like this is probably like the first episode that just like wow, like this is like the pinnacle of Kamp Koral, or like the best you can get of it. At least one of them. But definitely this episode, incredible. And then following that, the Jelly Life. This one is also incredible. Do we put it also in S tier or top of A tier? I would probably put this top of A tier. Because I still think Kamp Crossbones is just like magnificent chef's kiss for Kamp Koral, for everything that it stands for. But the Jelly Life, it Nature Pants. That's the episode this is basically paying homage to, or that like it makes that parallel. Because in that episode, remember, like SpongeBob's like, I don't like my job and I just want to go out there with the jellyfish. And here, SpongeBob is trying to get closer to them to catch jellyfish. But then like he has a whole journey of like learning electricity, getting to know them. There's a sensei of the jellyfish. So there's just like a nice understanding of it. He has like a tape recorder, so he's learning it. Like I just really love this episode. So the fact that was paired up with Camp Crossbones, these two episodes were just fantastic stuff. And then we have Lake Crashers. This one has the campers. They're trying to like have fun in the lake, swim or like don't go too deep. But then there's like sort of like a derby going on, and then Mrs. Puff is there, and she's like, I'm this. Again, more of her kind of crazy, chaotic character, driving and everything. So this one was just okay. Kind of fun, I think, with her appearances and stuff, and her outfits and her driving. But yeah, I'd probably put it like towards the bottom of C tier. Like I'm okay with it. Boo Light Special is the next one. I didn't really like this one because they used the Flying Dutchman more in a comedic manner. And I think when I just think of him or I see him, again, total opposite to what we have of Are You Afraid of the Dork, or just in general, like his other appearances throughout the series, I just like when he's serious. And I feel like when you kind of just make him into like, I'm not haunting, I'm like this way, I'm simple, I don't know, like it just messes with me, and I'm not really a big fan of seeing him in that light. And it's just kind of boring. He's just, again, like it's not as funny as well. So I'm not saying F tier because I don't think it's a bad episode, but I just have zero interest in like watching this again, or like when I did go back to it, I was kind of like, eh. So I think that's harsh. Maybe the episode's a bit better than the other ones, but that's okay. I think we need to have one episode on the F tier for now. There will be some other ones, I think, but it just one. I think it reminds me of the episode with Ghost Host, I think from season 4. Like he's just kind of like a bloated hobo, and he's doing nothing. And like I don't like seeing him like that. So I think that kind of reminds me of it. It's just like he's at the store, I'm gonna manage it, and I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. Next we have Painting with Squidward, and I really like this one. This is probably gonna go up here on the B tier. Yeah, I'd put this at the top over here because it's just Squidward finally like using some of his art stuff. And there's like a showcase, and he's trying to teach people how to do art, just like we've seen in other renditions of SpongeBob. And it's just really fun seeing everyone kind of do that. They have their own take on it. I actually thought there's gonna be more references here, but there really wasn't. So that was good too, even though like actually you like would have welcomed it here. And then the ending's kind of cool because I think Mr. Krabs has like a machine, and then he just like, oh, you guys can put stuff in here, and then it's art, it's better. So I think there's like a little commentary on like AI stuff, on that whole thing going on. And then in the end, Squidward gets in the machine, and then he is the art himself. So he's like, hey, I wouldn't know. So it was a good way to balance it all. But yeah, I just really like this one. Again, this is probably one of the episodes where like, oh, I actually kind of maybe wanted something of a reference, like a Bold and Brash, or like some other painting, I don't know, something. But that's nitpicking, and that's just for the reference. But the whole episode itself, I think was still pretty good. Okay, the next one, Kamp Koral. I'm just saying it, I didn't like this episode at all. Ignoring those 30 seconds we see with baby Squidward, and he has the memory of this cow. Besides that, like if we're ignoring that was a cool part of it, but it's just like a couple seconds. And I mean, like I guess he does tap into a more like Ratatouille sort of a nostalgia there, but it just seemed like it was just a cow was getting enlarged. Like I'm not saying it's an enlarged fetish kink thing, inflation thing that's going on. But that's kind of what the episode just felt like. Like having to keep it from eating or it eating. I don't know. I just didn't really like this one at all. Yeah, this one I'm like, I don't want to see this on, or like when I look back on Kamp Koral, this is a probably the biggest low point for me. I think maybe some other ones in here, but this one's when I'm like, man, I don't want this. Get this off my screen. All right, and this next one, much like we see with like Tag Your It and Cabin of Curiosities, like we've seen this thing where they venture into different people's cabins and they interact with the campers. Helter Skelter is the same way because like I think like Squidward or the cabin's kind of like destroyed, so they have to go off into other ones. So like Sandy's with the jocks, which I thought like she would be more of a jock there, but again, she's nerdy here. And then Patrick with the geeks, and then SpongeBob with Upturned. So again, just so fun to see everyone out of their element doing something, and they even own up to it. But then I think at some point they get like really annoyed, or they annoyed the other campers and everything. Which I actually think this foreshadows a future episode that's going to come up. But yeah, I actually thought this was a very good showcase of all those things. So I'm gonna put this. I'd probably put it at the top of B tier. Yeah, I'd put it right here with Helter Skelter. Yeah. Or do we put these two up here with up to 7.5? That's what I'm thinking right now. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because that's what my heart tells me. Yeah, that feels good. Rivali Revolution. This one is awesome because Squidward has a rivalry with the anchovies. They play his music better, and the music in here is really good. But what I love about this one is the anchovies can only play like one type of music, whereas Squidward, like, he's kind of multifaceted, or at least he can play this thing very well. But it gets to the point where now that one sound is kind of annoying, or they have no variety. So they actually do need Squidward in the end to I think it was like to wake up people. Yeah, because everyone was asleep, because what they play is very smooth, soothing and smooth. So I just love that, like, oh no, we need you, Squidward, that we need your sound. And also too, like, just saying that like this one sound is not your sound. So there's a little bit of embracing Squidward's like style. So I personally actually really enjoyed this one, which is funny. I'd probably put this at the very top B tier. Actually, let me fix that real quick. Let me go. No, we'll leave it like that. Because I also feel like maybe this one could be an A tier one, but no, I feel B tier is fine. Top of B tier. The Switch glitch is next, and this one involved the title zone, the involvement with the crossover, you could say, with all the other series. And it basically just has Patrick and Karen swapping brains and then consciousness, whatever. So now Patrick is in Karen and then Karen's in Patrick. You know, just a simple concept of like just bending. So just a simple concept of like bending the minds and everything, and they go on about their days, and there's like a super freak accident that happens. But yeah, I think it was pretty solid. I think it could have been a lot better. But in the end, it's kind of nice too, because I guess like Patrick like infects everyone, I suppose. So I'm putting this probably, let's put it right here in top of B tier, or like the lower end of B tier. Next we have Prickly Pests. And to be honest, I don't really remember the events of this one that much. It was just, I think, a lot of pranks and overflooding of the urchins. But this ending is the most memorable one because it was just left off so like, what the heck? And brilliant at the same time, because they just basically take over the camp and they have to relocate. And then Kamp Koral basically isn't a thing anymore. And then they even have the opening be with urchins. So I thought that was insanely brilliant, and just really a way that the show really has not had for the ending of it. So just because, again, I love love that ending. It's probably like maybe like my favorite ending of like all these episodes thus far that we've seen. So, like I said, like the episode quality is kind of whatever. I'd probably put like this maybe the same place as a game night. Cause remember with the hooks and doing that. That one's a lot more engaging with like, oh, like that's all these problems and everything. Again, with off the top of my head, I don't think like Prickly Pests has those same developments. But I'm saying like the final 5 minutes of that is just spectacular. Are you smarter than a smart cabin? This one, see, it's like the opposite of that filth one, where they introduce Sal. It's like a box that Sandy has, and it cleans everything. It's so dirty. But then, as we know with technology, it gets sentient and crazy. And they basically now want things to be very spotless, to be just basically anti-party, anti-hanging out, anti-filth, anti-germs. And then it basically becomes a problem, because now they exclude them from the cabin and everything. They're attacking and stuff. So then Sandy, in a brilliant homage. I have to really you know what I mean, call back to that, reference to that. They reference Space Odyssey with Hal and that iconic scene. I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. So, and then they incorporate Sal into the kitchen with Plankton, though I would have liked to see him actually be there like long term, but I know that's just me wanting continuity. But I thought the beautiful reference to that and the cleaning aspect of it, and just how they ended up that episode, I thought it was all great. So that episode will go into, I think, the middle, top of B tier. Deep Sea Despot is next. And this is where Squidward takes over the camp because we have a injured Mr. Krabs. We see handsome Squidward here. Nice little reference there. And just love how he has like a power trip. Like the meals, the flags, the aesthetics. And everyone kind of wants to basically take him down. So then all the campers, they like, hey, we can't handle this anymore. We can't take it. So they devise a plan and they get him. And then Mr. Krabs, I have a fly around here. And then Mr. Krabs, he also finally gets a hold of everything, and then it's like, oh yeah, he actually just had a power trip. But this is normal. We have bubble baths happen this too. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty good one. More Squidward love, you gotta love it. So funny enough, I probably put this top of B tier. Just funny because we have Deep Sea Despot, we have Rivali Revolution, and we have Painting with Squidward, all at the top of B tier, which are all basically like Squidward episodes. So interesting how that works out. We'll see if that works out and still is this way when we end it off. But for now, that's just kind of how it goes. Regihild, the next episode. And you know what? I still don't really know his name is Reginald, but that's not important because this episode, he's actually a very underrated character. Upturn, I kind of feel whatever about. But this was the first episode where it's like about him. And Narlene comes in, but Narlene actually kind of gets him to have some personality and, you know, do his thing. And then also, of course, Upturn sees the value because she kind of takes him for granted. Not kind of, she just does. But just the fact that it's someone very sophisticated. It's kind of, I guess you could say, like, kind of like the opposite of Nobby, you know, when he was like being like very eloquent and everything. So I would say it's the same thing like that, but I actually just kind of liked it more. So where did I put that one? That was, I think, a C tier episode, but this one I like a good amount. So I will put that in the top-ish area of B tier. Yeah. I'm gonna put it just above Painting with Squidward. Next we have The Perfect Camper. And this one, I just kind of want to see more of the trawler cabin. Because I think up until this point too, we haven't had an episode with them in so long. So the fact that we kind of come in here and then it's just like, hey, we're inventing someone new so we can win. I think I would have much rather just have them compete in this tournament. But I kind of get also too, it's like using their witchcraft and their spells and their freakiness, and then also too using all the camp's things to also like emulate that to win. So I get it. But I just sort of kind of just want more of the Trawler Cabin, because I actually really do like them as characters, as a squad. So the fact that we didn't really kind of get that this episode was more just like, hey, here's someone completely different. You know, not my favorite development. So I would kind of put this like top of D tier. Yeah, Clay's cool, but at the same time, he like disintegrates, which I actually kind of did like that at the end, because they were like, oh well, who's gonna tell him he's dying like an hour or the next day. So I guess like that's probably the like the nice payoff. Like they don't really care, like they're just using him for that. But I also kind of felt Clay was also just using them just to win, not to like develop a bond. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too emotional about it. Next we have Eye of the Hot Dog. We are going to another S tier episode, because Craig Mambleton, we get basically his background, and I actually really love it. And also too, SpongeBob, when Craig Mambleton kind of gets disrupted because of Patrick, he pushes him back to get on the grind, to really work at it again, to have like a nice comeback. And then it's also cool too, because Patrick and him have a rivalry. So it's awesome. Though like the kind of gross part about it is like, it's like the food's expired or something, or yeah, it expires at like a specific time, and obviously like they eat, and then it's like kind of gross at the end. But this is the one time when I will excuse the grossness, because I really just like that we got more of a background character, just their story flat out. And that's something that I think Kamp Koral does so well, as they kind of go on with the series. So just amazing background for a character that we just know from Sunbleached, right? But so much more here, like, you know, like the fact that he's like kind of on the same level as like Larry or there, which actually does match up to what he is in Sunbleached. So fantastic stuff. Next we have Patrick Takes the Cake, and I didn't really like this episode, man. Just felt kind of weird, like the talking cake, everyone hunting for this cake. I just didn't really like this one. I'd say it's like the same level as Kamp Koral. It's an F tier episode in my opinion. Not really one I care for, or I really ever want to go back to. That's just what I gotta say about it. Next we have The Taste of Defeat. This is another gross out episode. I like how Plankton and Narlene are like at the center here, and it's like this reveal that, oh, look at this. This is your food. This is where it's being made from. But I absolutely hate the feet aspect. Like it's not even they don't try to hide it. It's shameless. They're just like, here's feet and here's making her food in every single thing, every single frame. It was gross to me. Even if the concept is like, oh, this is where our food comes from, and yeah, I'm putting this bottom. I don't know if, again, maybe it's actually worse than Kamp Koral, maybe, but this one, again, all these ones in F, maybe a couple in D, I'm like, I don't want anything to do with these episodes ever again. Like, these are weak spots for the series. Taste of Defeat, I can easily put this at like the worst episode, but I think it's flirting with like those three at the moment. But I just don't like it at all. And see what I said, like the common kind of denominator here for like lower episodes is just gross out. I don't find that stuff appealing or interesting or thought-provoking, so that's just kind of how it goes. And like, if you can have that in a cool way, show it, then sure, but Kamp Koral really hasn't done that in my opinion. Scaredy Squirrel, this is one where Sandy visits the Trawler Cabin, which I love. It's kind of like this initiation, because like Patrick and SpongeBob did the same thing way earlier in the season, so now it's Sandy's turn to do that. And again, the horror used here, the whole like journey and like in the house, and they're kind of like just playing pranks on her, and like the lighting, the expressions, and even in the end they were like, oh, you wouldn't eat us, right? So I actually love this episode, love it. I would put this at the top of B tier. I might even put it in A tier. Yeah, because we have to think about if Cabin of Curiosities, like, is this better than the original Cabin of Curiosities? Personally, yes, but maybe for different reasons. But it's close up there. It's close. So, but yeah, still a fantastic episode. Then we have Hats Off to Space. This one is controversial. Is it? Not really. I think if you're looking at timeline, time travel things and implications, and I think that's where it's controversial. But I don't really think so. But this episode's really cool because there's like hats and then they go in space, they venture, kind of like Sandy's rocket or like the moon. But then when we get to the moon, it's about Narlene's, was it a brother or uncle or cousin? So if you kind of like world building, then technically the moon has someone like that there. But maybe kind of lame that like the punchline was like, oh, like, I can't find a hat. And then it's just because like he has the glass thing on, like the helmet for air. So like this one, like if we're just ignoring that amazing callback reference of the wormhole, again, I like the space adventure aspect to it, but I don't really know how people would enjoy the moon thing and then like the thing, oh, the hat just doesn't fit me. I think it's okay. So I'd probably put it like bottom of like C tier. I guess cool, but you know, yeah, like I like the development of it, but like it's cool, but I think anything with Narlene at this point is just kind of like annoying. So I think just adding more to it, again, if you really like Narlene and the new developments that Kamp Koral is trying to do, that's cool. Sometimes it hits for me, sometimes it doesn't. This one, it was kind of, again, it's like the epitome of like, okay, sure. And funny enough, the finale of season 1 is in a nutshell, and this episode is about a purge. There's like a prank purge going on, but Mr. Krabs hides himself down there. So then now he let goes of his shell, but Narlene and Nobby, they take that and they go in, but they don't know about the event, so like they're just getting hazed and pranked and everything. So I just think it's like comeuppance. It's like, yes, finally, like they're getting like hurt, they're the butt of the joke. But then in the end, they decide to prank Mr. Krabs and say, oh, like the time's up. Oh no, it's you. Don't get away because you're gonna get this. Because like all the other campers got the other counselors and everything. I think it's fine. I think, yeah, it wasn't like the strongest way to end the season, unfortunately. Like I said, I think the idea of like the purge, kind of like a prank purge going on, I think that was really cool. And then just like finally like Narlene and them are like just like not being the ones who trick everyone. And then like a night kind of finished like, Holly, you still have to suffer this. You know what? Yeah, I'd probably just put it like top of D tier. Is it bad? I don't think so. Maybe a 4 is like saying it's bad. Yeah, it's more fitting just to put it like right there, bottom of C tier. So now we'll go into season, damn, and we open out with Mad Science Squirrel. So I think when I initially watched this one, I wasn't like the craziest fan of it, but now when I like look back on it, I actually really enjoyed that Karen and Sandy had like a connection, a bond. It was really sweet and healthy. And then them just overtaking like Plankton's like evilness, I thought it was excellent. And just really cute, wholesome, and in the end, like, it's kind of like proofing like his inventions. I think I also at the same time too, like Sandy like won the contest, and she actually made something very dangerous. So I actually really like this one. I probably put it probably bottom of B tier. No, yes, no. Because I like this. I like it more than Tag You're It. Nah, I'll put it... We'll fix this towards the end. But for now, B tier. Okay, now we got to pop a bubble. And obviously this is about Bubble Buddy. Great reference to that. But this episode, I think, also is a lot better than that episode. Is that a bold claim? That is, but I don't care. Because this episode, I think, is it top of A or is an S tier? I think this is how you use references like the best. I mean, with the jelly life, actually, yes, that's what I'm gonna say. The jelly life and To Pop a Bubble, they capture the same energy as the older episodes, those classic episodes. But the thing is that To Pop a Bubble, they actually like go through like a little mystery, like a crime scene, because he actually does get popped. So I love that entire aspect. SpongeBob has like the little like cigar detective Holmes thing going on, and just kind of going there and like debriefing it. I think also like the humor is really funny here too. Like we have Patrick who like just admits it was him. We have the "it's a load of barnacles." He's like crying and emotional stuff. The formation of also Bubble Buddy. So I actually think it's a fantastic episode and usage of older episodes or that influence and like just putting it into Kamp Koral and just like a new light. It sounds familiar. It is familiar, but it works. And next we have High and Dry. And just like the Pop a Bubble, the Jelly Life, they take a lot of influence from the older episodes of SpongeBob. This one being Pressure, when it's like land creatures, sea creatures. They basically go to that same spot, the same setup. And there is a fear of birds, of these creatures who could attack and kill us. But this one is centered more around like friendship and the buddy system they have going on, and then Squidward like sacrifices Elwood, and it's very dark, and it gets really survivor-ish as we go on. But then I guess like the twist here is that they the birds, they're like they're like salesmen for like beauty products in a way. It was really weird, but so like I felt like interesting development for this episode. I would put it probably the top of B tier. Probably like right, yeah, probably just below Regihild, a little bit above like in the upper B tier, I think. Next we have the Beardsman. This is Paul Grunion, I think that's what they called him. To be honest, this is the most whatever episode, like bottom of C tier. Like I can live without it, and I guess you can have it, sure. I do like when they all have beards and like when he's shaved and like he loses his confidence. But then it gets too much anime stuff with like friendship, everyone believes in you. Even though that was a nice montage where they showed like like the different parts of the world and and Kamp Koral and everything. So like nice gags there. But like I said, like it's cool at the end when they all have beards and it like just like infects everyone. But like he's not the most interesting character, I suppose. So maybe that's where this comes from. But yeah, probably definition of like 5 out of 10. Next we have 5 times the fun. This is Patrick. He gets basically like decapitated and starfish grow, I guess. But there's other parts of him that basically flock off. And I remember this episode. The ending was cool, if I remember correctly. If it's the one where Squidward traps them all together. But then it was very disgusting for me, because it's like raining Patricks, and then they all get in their eye. That was like the most disgusting thing I've like seen in Kamp Koral. I'm not saying that like the entire episode, but again, in general, I thought the premise just ran on too long. Like we get it, they're out there, they're sentient, they're different Patricks, so they're doing the camp and everything. So I personally didn't really like find it that entertaining, and then and just that part to me was very just disgusting. I'd put it probably top of F tier, or maybe 5 times the fun, I think. Yeah, it's like basically like the end of D tier. I could live without it, but yeah, maybe it's more F tier. Okay, I think it's more F tier. Yeah, okay. We'll put that under, because I'm saying, I think this one was, it had good parts of it, like with like Dutchman and SpongeBob, but, the aura's in there. Okay, so next we have Low Falutin, and this one involves, I think, the two other members of Upturn's cabin, those other campers, and they're rich, but then they get poor. So the whole episode is basically like them learning the struggles of being your average person and broke. But it's funny when they have a new cabin and it's just like, oh yeah, here's this one, and they're just like completely like destroying it. And but what I liked about this one, it was like towards the end, even if the ending, it could have been better, but it's like, okay, like I'll take it. But SpongeBob, once again, he helps them see the light, kind of sees friendship, and they also learn about friendship, not being just about money and stuff. So it was actually pretty wholesome, and they did accept him in the end. They're like, oh yeah, like you're not that bad, Sponge, or whatever. Until like they get rich again, and like they kind of just don't care about it. But I actually kind of thought SpongeBob got through to them, so I really enjoyed that aspect. But yeah, it is good that we get more background characters. We're also going to get a couple more after this episode. So it wasn't the most exciting one, but I did enjoy that, you know, regardless if it's a good story or a good episode, we're just getting more inclusion of those characters. So I really do respect it for that. So I'm putting it probably, right here, bottom of C tier. Like I said, maybe those other episodes under it, maybe they have a little bit more to offer, but I personally just like we're getting secondary characters, background characters. And then we have Nut Madness. This one involves the Goofy Goober worker, his first appearance in the series. Really anything with Goofy Goober, we'll get that a little bit later on. But Sandy gets feral for nuts. So we kind of get like that pre-hibernation kind. I mean, it's not the same thing, but we get her wildness, and then, you know, she gets people or peanuts or whatever, and then like hides them down there. So we actually get like that one crazy joke with like the devil in hell. I think that's what it was. While they're on the venture for it. But you know, like then they kind of figure all that out, and it was kind of peaceful at the end. Like we see them interacting, Sandy and the Goofy Goober one. So I actually thought it was pretty solid, this episode. I wish I remembered more of this episode, but yeah, I'd probably put it probably top of C tier. Yeah, C tier, like maybe bottom of B tier maybe. But yeah, I'd put it like right there. So a good one. All right, we have a heavy hitter coming up next. Mermaid Men and Barnacle Boys. Yeah, this is probably the best usage of, whether you like you call it like fan service or shamelessness or nostalgia bait, whatever term you want to call it. This is the best usage of that because they play around with it so much. They really just show the love they have for that respective reference and the assets in there. They use like the narrator. They have fun with the comics. The way they like utilize Dr. Fun, and then the magic con signal, and then everyone's like losing the battle, and then they come in and then they save the day, and then in the end they showcase that, oh, they're looking at all of this stuff. I just thought it was like, okay, like even if it's fan service, whatever, but like it was just the best usage of that. Okay, yeah, maybe we put, yeah, this is fine just because like it was a very mind-blowing watch. And yeah, I just think like I think even if you don't like Kamp Koral, you still watch this episode and you're like, oh damn, okay. So Dr. Fun's a goat. But yes, a fantastic episode. Easily one of the best of the show, so that's why it's going to be in S tier. A Tale of Two Roxys. This one is basically the same thing as we had a Low Falutin, you know, where we use the background characters and just give them more light. Again, I respect that they do this, even if it doesn't hit all the time or it's as interesting. I really do like when they do this, because I honestly felt we had almost every character like actually have an episode. Which I actually can't really say that about like, well, now with current SpongeBob you could, but for like seasons 1 through however long, like I felt like characters never really got their own episode. So that, like, the fact that, again, like, even like someone like Perch Perkins has an episode, it's like, whoa, that's crazy. Which, again, like in SpongeBob, like, I don't think we got that until like season like 13 or 14 or something. So I just really like how they're being inclusive. Roxy, again, you know, the fish, and then the sisters on the angler. It's just one of those things of, oh, we're fighting, and you know, I'm better off without you, and then obviously they're not. But then it's like they're still kind of toxic with each other, but it works out because love and togetherness and sisterhood and whatever. Sorry, like, if I'm kind of demeaning that, but yeah, all that to say, yeah, I respect that they're trying to include these characters. Yeah, Night Owl is the next episode. This one is fantastic. We are gonna slot this right into the A tier. Where do we put this? Is it top of A tier? I think it'll be right here, because this episode, remember, like I said, when they kind of mess with the supernatural, we like kind of got that with Maisie, with the Sasquatches or the Yetis. There's been some other ones like the Kraken, you know, but this one, I just love their journey into trying to kind of like stay up forever, or until 3 a.m. because there's like a lost camper, or there's like a badge or something with it. But then we get into some crazy abstract psychedelic delusions and everything. Fantastic. I thought they really approached that well. And then it was like a bait too, because remember, they were like, hey, yeah, we made it, but then they had to switch, and they actually did fall asleep. But yeah, I think that episode was fantastic, and again, just has like a little mystique to the camp. So I think very deserving of one of the better episodes of Kamp Koral. And speaking of supernatural things going on, the next episode, Calling Some Monsters, we not get the payoff, but we get some continuity with Midnight Snack Attack when they actually grow into the monsters. Because now Patrick and them and SpongeBob are like, hey, like, I want to be a monster too, and they're really cool. But then they get involved with monsters and realize that like they're kind of like boring, but it's not boring, but it's like they actually want to be like seen and not scary. But Patrick and SpongeBob want them to be scary. So then it actually kind of becomes a story of them trying to help them embrace that they are scary. So I just found that to be so like twisted and like backwards inverted, but then it was really wholesome, endearing. I keep saying those words, but that's just kind of how I felt about it. But then they kind of get like unleashed, but that's kind of what they wanted. So I felt this episode was great. So I'll put this somewhere in the A tier. Yeah, I'm putting it. Yeah, I put right there. I think it's perfect in the A tier. Next we got Dig This. Dig This. To be honest, I thought it was gonna be a lot better. Something, again, this is the episode I think maybe should have had some type of like history bomb or lore thing or something, but it was just like a bone thing, and then I did like how Mr. Krabs was trying to, like, yeah, you know, like to profit off of tourism, and I think Sandy has like that one line of like, you know, I don't know, like there's some meta thing she said here, but yeah, then it just kind of gets reversed, like, oh, it was just Narlene's like bones kind of just stacking up, and oh yeah, then like there's like a monster that appears, I think, that like gets you know, I don't know, I just didn't really like this one. Kind of like underwhelming and just kind of like out of nowhere. Yeah, I'd probably put this like bottom of D tier. Then we have Unbreaking and De-entering, and dang, it flies, man. This one was like Gary was stealing things from the cabins, and then SpongeBob was like feeling guilty and trying to return them. But then actually it turns out that was just garbage he was stealing. It wasn't even like he was stealing it. So there was just like big miscommunication. But then I think in the end there was like a message, or like a theme they were trying to hit home about, like I forgot what it was, but I didn't really enjoy that. So like I feel like this one just kind of got lost in translation with its lesson. So I'd probably put it like yeah, right there is like bottom of C tier. Maybe D tier, but you know, I think it's fine right there. Swim and Hold is this next episode. And there's just a secret spot that Narlene and Nobby have, and then they tell SpongeBob and Patrick Sandy, and they kind of chill there, and then the word gets out, and they kind of flip-flop, like, this is the spot now, this is the spot now, until they kind of get it back, or it just gets infiltrated and there's nowhere to go. Kind of, very middle of the road. Kind of boring. I would put it right here, probably. D tier. Even though I think I feel more towards a 5 of, like, I feel nothing about this one. Okay, we are entering another probably best episode, part A and part B of the season. This one is Krabsy the Clown. Krabsy the Clown is going to be in the S tier. This episode involves Mr. Krabs. It kind of changes his past of Krabby the Clown. Who's that guy? But it's all because of, like, Pearl's birthday, but then we learn this is his past, actually. And then he gets fixated on this. Like, he does it again, but then he tries every day, and the whole camp is tired of it. So they have him do the one finale stunt that he could not pull off back then to end it, or to maybe finally do it. And they do it, and yeah, like, it goes without a bang. With the bang, it goes with that. But I still think this episode, just from beginning to end, is fantastic, man. Fantastic. And then immediately after that episode, we got Lords of the LARP, another S tier episode. This one actually might be one of the best ones. When it's, see, this is what I'm saying. Camp Crossbones, when you fully stick to the aesthetic, to just whatever your premise is, and you just go the extra mile and you just hit every single thing. Lords of the LARP is the same thing, because same thing, there's no like nostalgia here. There's nothing, just like the Mermaid Men and Barnacle Boys. This one, they're all like cosplaying, and I think this is on Mo on her centered episode, and basically, like, she kind of like thinks wrong of, like, the nerds, but then she kind of gets involved in it and really likes it because it's like a power thing. And but then now it becomes like trying to get her back, so they basically LARP, live action role play, and like they get so ingrained to it with, like, the fighting style, with the spells, and just the warfare of it all. I just love it. Everyone's involved in it. Again, the costumes are there too, and just it's actually pretty epic. So yeah, Camp Crossbones and Lords of the LARP, they really just captured that whole embracing of the premise. I just find it insanely entertaining and fun, and even heartfelt at times. But yeah, like, the fact that we had these 2 episodes back to back, 2 S tier episodes in my opinion, so amazing stuff. Then I think we're gonna get a couple other quality episodes. We have Mascot Mayhem. I love this one because we have this Patrick versus SpongeBob duel, and they basically just kind of fight over who's the better camper for the mascot position. And then it basically, yeah, it just becomes them battling with each other. They have their costumes with the teddy bear or the sea bear, and then they like the cabin, the outhouse, and then it's really just them feuding the whole time. But you know, they also kind of go with the music. They all have their own routines and things. So I just love the competitive aspect to it. Like, we don't really get that in Kamp Koral, where they actually, like, battle. I guess technically in the Jelly Life a little bit, but yeah, I love the combat aspect, and you know, even we had some nice references here, Foxy Grandpa, and then like the Goofy Goober stuff. Not that that matters in the rankings right here, but yes, this is a great episode. So I'm putting this at the top of A tier, around here. Then we have Put Up or Shut Up. Mr. Krabs and Squidward are both efficient at golfing. They're amazing. So this whole episode is just them in a battle. They're going throughout the cabin, different courses. It gets freaky. They end up in the trawler cabin where things just get crazy, but it's a part of the course, and it ends up with the Kraken. So again, same thing as like when we visit all these things, the cabins, the places, the people, but they just interact with the environment. It's really fun, really zany, and just like ridiculous, but again, it's competitive. So same thing, this episode's gonna be probably bottom of A tier. Actually, I would probably, yeah. Yeah. Right there is fine. Who's complaining? The next episode. Squidward is tired of his complaints not being recognized, as with every other camper. So he's the one who's going to take it upon himself to go out, solve all these things. The thing is, obviously, like, he's not seeing the work that actually has to go into doing this. So that's why Mr. Krabs, like, avoids it at all costs, or just makes it really hard to do that. And then basically, like, the episode is, like, linked all together because all the plots, all the problems are, like, linked back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So once one thing goes wrong, basically everything goes wrong. And then now it's an even bigger complaint than what it was in the beginning. So another kind of Mr. Krabs versus Squidward episode, which is funny because last one we just had that one. But I think this was also pretty brilliant. So we're gonna go at the bottom of A tier. Then we have Patrick's star. So he has like a pet star they get him for his birthday. It's like, okay, you know, it's actually kind of fun because like Patrick's star, obviously, in an actual star, and then like holds him, but it's like too hot. It's like his son basically. But and then the end gets kind of weird because then the parents show up and they're like, I don't know. I was kind of like, it's like kind of like the Paul Grunion thing. That's why I think it's like, interesting concept, but like, okay. So yeah, I'll slot this towards the end of C tier. Next, we have a fistful of sand dollars. This is probably the best Narlene episode, and I say that because she gets defeated. But they also stick to their aesthetic. It's like Western things, the setting. They even have like a lot of the movie framing. The whole camp is against Narlene. Sandy, like I think Squidward has a very good role also in this one. But it just the whole camp, they band together and they get rid of Narlene and Nobby. But just again, I'm saying the aesthetics, the tension, the cinematography with their battle, very good. So I would put this probably top of the B tier. Just funny, Sandy is here as well with the Scaredy Squirrel. There's a pattern sometimes with like centered episodes done well. Cretins of the Night. This one is where Kid Frog 2 gets SpongeBob and Patrick, or they want to be vampires. So they see it and they think it's cool, but then they learn like the drawbacks of it. This was kind of a weird one because remember the hand that was talking? I didn't really like that. This is like the one time when like they have cool forms and they're vampires and they stick with it. There's like that whole element, but then I just didn't really like that aspect. And I actually did like Helga was involved in this one. She was kind of in cahoots with Kid Frog to get them to switch back. So that was a nice little result at the end. But at the same time, you know, I'm just here like, it's okay. So Cretins of the Night, I felt it could have been a little bit better. I just didn't like the hand thing. So if I had to put it somewhere, I would probably put it maybe on kind of like similar to Hats Off of Space. Yeah, bottom of C tier. That Suits You is this next episode. This is Sandy has a new suit because her suit's kind of breaking. I thought this episode was going to be a lot more impactful or maybe like a design change or something. But it just kind of ended up being like suit versus suit. And then I guess like the suit gets sentient and then they kind of go away long. So I actually kind of do like that part of it. And they do battle and stuff, but like they kind of learn each other's like needs and so I don't know. You know, I guess there's like there's something kind of cool with this one. Maybe it could have been a bit better, but yeah, I'll put it right there. Yeah, just in the C tier. I didn't do the Treasure of Kamp Koral, and that was from season 1. Oh god, I'm so sorry. Mr. Krabs sees that SpongeBob and Patrick have like money, so he gets invested into being the servant and everything. But then it's discovered that this money that they acquired is actually the money that he buried. So it's kind of like this little loop. I actually thought it was pretty impressive. I probably put that at the top of the bottom of B tier. Wasn't bad, it was entertaining, even if it was like pretty expected the solid. Okay, final 2 episodes. Parasite Pals, and this one was okay. It's just SpongeBob being nice, and there's a parasite within him, so obviously they want to kill it and stop it. It's harmful. It's like blood sucking and everything, but of course he's like, no, we're friends, we're this. I would probably put it like, I don't feel any weight towards it. I probably just put it like bottom of C tier. Maybe I mean I'm more indifferent towards it. So yeah, I probably actually put it maybe the quest, yeah, right here. Yeah, I don't really care for this episode. And the finale, the final episode of Kamp Koral, this long journey, this ranking, it comes to an end, but not before we get into end of summer days. SpongeBob is at camp once again. Everyone is leaving. Basically, they already have left. They actually just forgot him. But him and Patrick are there, and there's also these robbers that come in and they try to like set home and escape and everything, and then they kind of play like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy over there. But they think they're both alone. And that's basically the whole episode. And then the end bus ride is really like reflective. I really enjoyed that. But that's kind of it. So like I do like that's how we end off, but everything before that, in the beginning too, it actually was nice when every camper was leaving, saying their goodbyes. Sandy also mentioned like the timeline. I'll see you at in the tree dome. What does that mean? I don't know. It's just it's messing up everything. But what I do like is that whole beginning and the ending. In between, it's kind of fun, but I guess I just didn't really care about the robbers or their purpose there. So yeah, I would probably put this somewhere in this C tier. Again, not what you want for your finale, but sometimes that's how it goes. And is this the final tier list? Let me put the Treasure of Kamp Koral over there. This looks okay to me. Let me put Who's Complaining over Shelter. Yeah, perhaps I should have actually put 10 and the 9 separate. But at the same time, I just didn't want to include like some other tier or level, and that just have like a low amount. I don't know if that makes sense, but it made sense in my head. But I think sometimes when I see like 7.5 and then there's like 7, I'm like, I think maybe some of these episodes are more of 7.5s. Or even like closer to 8. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this as is. I feel if I want to make a change, I'll probably put it up somewhere right here, but I think this is it. So I think if there's any patterns here, I think episodes that involve the grossness, bodies, humor, disgustingness, I think I have a tendency not to really like that. I really like when they do include the background characters, secondary characters in the plots or have a centered episode, even if it's not the most profound one. I still really just enjoy that aspect to it. In the beginning, I liked Narlene, but that faded off pretty quickly. I really like when they're in new elements or we see them in other cabins or we get just everyone involved with the cabins. The fan service they use a lot of the time, it's actually it's very rare, but they use it a lot better as you go on, as we see with To Pop a Bubble, The Jelly Life. And I think the show excels without the fan service references, and they focus on the aesthetics or like the quirky, unique finishes and ends of episodes. And I honestly felt like if you kind of take this as them just kind of having Kamp Koral be the beginning, I don't think the recontextualizing is like a problem. Yeah, I think you should just give it a shot. There's some really, really great episodes and premises and developments that happen here. Awesome Easter eggs as well. A lot more restrictive and not focused on that, which is great because it's its own thing. So I really respect that about it. there you go, everyone. That is the Kamp Koral tier list of every episode in Kamp Koral. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was a long time. I didn't actually expect it to be this long, but it's the whole thing we covered here. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Check out these episodes. Watch Kamp Koral. Don't be a sheep. Have your own opinion. Watch it for yourself. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever, nor am I an apologist saying that it's something that's free of like its criticism. But I do think it's kind of dealt like a bad hand, especially from just like older fans and diehard fans, which I am as well. I'm also open to whatever they're doing now. But yeah, in the comments below, let me know how wrong I am about my opinions about Kamp Koral, about SpongeBob, about how I am a new sponge head and everything. Let me know. But also, again, just don't forget to just give it a shot. Watch some of these episodes. Honestly, watch any episode from the A and S tier. I think if you watch any of those, you will really kind of enjoy it, or you'll at least see my vision or the vision of what it's trying to do. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Remember, just check it out. Watch Kamp Koral. Form your own opinion. Don't be so judgmental. Just watch it. Check out some of these episodes. Also check out some other stuff too. We did so much on Kamp Koral and SpongeBob Patrick Star Show. So yeah, go on the reactions. See even me at first hand what I thought of all these episodes as well. Yeah. All right. I don't know how to end this, so I'm just gonna end it right now. I will see you guys when I